The film opens with several members of the Chong Chao gang in Thailand escorting a group of women into a building to force them into prostitution. They leave the place and get on their motorcycles, unaware that a bald man is watching them from across the street. It is later revealed that this man is Curdy Church, an American hitman who has been hired to eliminate the Chong Chao gang members. However, his client insisted that the killings must look like the work of their rival gang, the Zongs, in order to spark a war between the two factions. To achieve this, Curdy throws a grenade at the Chong Chao members, killing them all in a single explosion. He then places the body of a kidnapped Zong gang member at the scene and puts a gun in his hand so the Chong Chao gang will blame their rivals for the attack. With his mission complete, Curdy prepares to flee quickly, but he realizes that a woman has witnessed his actions. He decides not to speak to her, knowing he must leave before the authorities arrive. In the next scene, the leader of the Chong Chao gang, Advisor Bun, is informed of the deaths of his men, supposedly caused by the Zong gang using a bomb. Furious, he orders his men to attack the Zong gang at midnight. Meanwhile, Curdy meets with his client, Rajadan, to receive his payment. It is revealed that Rajadan wants to destroy the criminal gangs because they kidnapped and murdered his daughter, and he seeks revenge. He then offers Curdy a large reward if he eliminates more members of the Chong Chao gang. Curdy agrees, but tells him he needs a new weapon for the mission. Curdy visits a club owned by Jimmy the Brit, an arms dealer known for being able to assemble weapons with his eyes closed. However, upon seeing Curdy, Jimmy panics and runs, forcing Curdy to chase him down. Curdy finally catches him and assures him he only needs to buy a weapon, not harm him. Relieved, Jimmy takes him to one of his arsenals, where Curdy chooses a sniper rifle. With his new weapon, he infiltrates the tower of a temple to carry out his next mission. Coincidentally, the tower is located directly across from a club owned by the Zong gang, and Curdy anticipates that the Chong Chao gang will attack the club in retaliation for the bombing. He prepares for the ambush, hiding Rajadan's money under the floor and removing one of the steps from the staircase in case someone tries to enter the tower during the operation. From the window, he sets up his rifle and eats calmly. However, while he's eating, a woman unexpectedly appears inside the tower, catching him off guard. She is the same woman he saw earlier when he killed the gang members. Her name is May, and she claims to have secretly followed him because she wants to help him. Curdy doesn't believe her. He ties her up and gags her, fearing she will ruin his plan. Over time, Curdy begins to trust her, unties her, and asks her to wake him if she hears any noise coming from the club. Soon after, the Chong Chao gang arrives and a shootout breaks out between the two groups. May wakes Curdy immediately, and he takes his sniper rifle and begins shooting at the Chong Chao members. The scene horrifies May, as it is the first time she has witnessed a killing in real time. The next day, Advisor Bun reports the massacre caused by the sniper to his leader, Boss Katha. They suspect it wasn't an attack by the Zong gang, but rather the work of a third unknown party. Meanwhile, Curdy heads toward the gang's base. May confesses to him that she was previously held captive by the Chong Chao gang, which is why she wants to help take them down. Curdy accepts her help and asks her to lead him to the gang's hideout. To his surprise, the base is huge and heavily guarded, making him realize that the Chong Chao gang is not as small as Rajadan made it seem. That same night, Curdy confronted Rajadan and complained about how dangerous the missions had become. Despite his frustration, he agrees to continue working for him, but demands that his payment be tripled. Surprisingly, Rajadan accepts. Meanwhile, Boss Katha and Advisor Bun visit the Zong gang headquarters to propose a truce. They realize the bombing wasn't carried out by the rival gang, but by someone trying to pit them against each other. To seal the peace agreement, Katha offers a white elephant to the Zong gang as a symbol of goodwill. Unbeknownst to them, Curdy and May are watching the meeting from a distance. Now that the two gangs have reached an agreement, Curdy receives a new mission from Rajadan. Curdy returned to see Jimmy to get more weapons, but this time he refused to supply him with anything. He had realized that Curdy was using his weapons to kill some of the most influential gang members in the country, and he didn't want the Chong Chao gang to discover that he was the provider. Eventually, Jimmy gave in to Curdy's insistence and took him to another arsenal located inside a boat where he showed him a special weapon. Suddenly, Kurti elbowed Jimmy in the face, explaining he was doing it for his own good. If the Chong Chao gang discovered that Jimmy had supplied him with weapons, Jimmy could claim that Kurti had assaulted him. The scar on his face would serve as proof. That night, Kurti used his new sniper rifle to eliminate more gang members. He climbed to the roof of a building across from the Chong Chao headquarters and picked off his targets one by one. However, this time an enemy sniper spotted him, forcing him to flee and abandon his new weapon. Wounded by the shot and with the gang aware of his position, Kurti had to act quickly. Fortunately, a gang truck was parked nearby, allowing him to steal it and escape before being surrounded. During the escape, he heard noises in the back of the truck. When he opened the door, he was horrified to find May and several girls inside. He discovered they were sex workers controlled by the gang. He told them to get out, but they refused, explaining that they were addicted to drugs and that if they ran away, the gang would find and kill them. Kurti decided to let them choose for themselves, and he and May took a taxi back to their refuge in the temple tower. On the way, Kurti asked May how she ended up in the truck. She explained that she had tried to save the girls but failed. When they arrived at the temple and May realized Kurti was wounded, she took him to the monks so they could treat him immediately. Meanwhile, the Chong Chao gang found the sniper rifle Kurti had used and traced it back to Jimmy. Advisor Boone interrogated Jimmy, who claimed he had been assaulted and that several weapons had been stolen. Boone believed him but ordered his men to keep a close watch on him. A few days later, Kurti recovered from his wounds and resumed his mission. He eliminated the gang members who were lurking around Jimmy's club and confiscated one of their phones. He then approached Jimmy to acquire close combat weapons. As they headed to the arsenal, Boss Kata called the cell phone of the gang member whose phone Kurti had taken. Without hesitation, Kurti answered the call and informed Kata that his men were dead and that he was responsible. He offered to stop the killings if Kata released all the girls he was forcing into prostitution. However, Kata refused, arguing that he was actually helping the girls. He claimed some had been sold by their own parents, while others lived on the streets before he took them in. If he let them go, they would have nowhere to live. Kurti was left speechless, as Kata's version contradicted what Rajadan had told him. According to Rajadan, the Chong Chao gang had kidnapped the girls before forcing them into prostitution. After obtaining the weapons from Jimmy, Kurti decided to follow Rajadan to uncover the truth. To his surprise, he saw him enter a brothel, an unexpected place for someone who supposedly just lost his daughter. Kurti knew he needed to learn more about Rajadan's true intentions, so he entered the brothel posing as a client. He approached one of the girls and asked about Rajadan's identity and whereabouts. Surprisingly, the girl immediately confessed that Rajadan was the owner of the brothel and that he was upstairs. Without wasting time, he went up to confront him. However, before he could move further, the girl shouted a warning to the guards about Kurti's intentions to kill Rajadan. Within seconds, the guards surrounded Kurti and opened fire, but failed to stop him. Eventually, Kurti found Rajadan in a room and demanded the truth. Realizing he had no other option, Rajadan confessed that he was Boss Kata's son. The story about his supposed daughter being kidnapped and killed by the Chong Chao gang was completely fabricated. It was invented to gain Kurti's sympathy. His real goal was to discredit Advisor Boone, who was destined to succeed Boss Kata as the gang's leader. Rajadan believed he deserved the position more, so he wanted Kurti to eliminate Advisor Boone, offering him a large sum of money in return. After some thought, Kurti accepted the proposal. Meanwhile, the gang tortured Jimmy after discovering his involvement in the recent incidents. Under pressure, he confessed that he had supplied weapons to Kurti and confirmed that Kurti was responsible for the deaths of several gang members. His confession reached Boss Kata and Advisor Boone, who began planning Kurti's capture. Advisor Boone suggested involving corrupt police officers, but Rajadan objected. He insisted that Boss Kata should trust him, not Advisor Boone, to solve the problem. His words convinced Boss Kata, who assigned Rajadan the task of capturing Kurti. Meanwhile, Jimmy remained captive. Taking advantage of a moment when the guards were distracted, he asked to go to the bathroom, where he called Kurti to warn him of the danger. Since he had already revealed everything to the gang, including Kurti's identity, he advised Kurti to leave Thailand immediately. Curdy accepted his advice and asked Jimmy to take May to a safe place, promising him a large sum of money in return. Jimmy agreed, believing he would soon be released by the gang. However, Curdy was unaware that Jimmy had been collaborating with Rajadan the entire time. This became clear later when the two met to plan a trap for Curdy. If they managed to kill him and present his head to Boss Kata, Rajadan would secure his ambition to succeed his father. At first, Jimmy refused, since his original goal was only to discredit Advisor Boone, not to kill Curdy. But Rajadan insisted, even threatening to kill Jimmy if he refused to cooperate. Meanwhile, Curdy returned to the Temple Tower to say goodbye to May. He told her he planned to return to the United States and that Jimmy would soon arrive to protect her. He left her the money intended for Jimmy and then left. Later, while waiting for his flight at the airport, Curdy called Jimmy to inform him that he was leaving. To his surprise, Jimmy told him he had gone to the temple but found only the money, no trace of May or anyone else. Suspecting Jimmy had betrayed him and was now working with the gang, Curdy realized he was being set up. Moments later, several gang members arrived at the airport. Curdy stealthily approached their car, knocked out the driver, and stole the vehicle. He sped back to the Temple Tower but couldn't find May. Everything pointed to her being kidnapped by the gang and taken to their base. Without wasting a second, Curdy headed to the gang's headquarters and rammed the vehicle into the wall, bursting into the room where Boss Kata and Advisor Boone were gathered. He pointed his weapon at Boss Kata and demanded the release of all the enslaved girls. To his surprise, Boss Kata agreed, but with one condition. Curdy must reveal who had hired him to attack the gang. Curdy didn't hesitate to reveal that it was Rajadan who had hired him, and that his goal was the death of Advisor Boone. Rajadan, who was present in the room, exploded with rage at being exposed and opened fire on Curdy. Fortunately, Jimmy arrived just in time and shot Rajadan dead. With Rajadan gone, Boss Kata ordered the release of all the girls, but May was not among them. Curdy demanded to know where she was, but Boss Kata and Advisor Boone claimed they didn't know anyone by that name. Suspicious, Curdy looked at a wall covered with photos of all the girls connected to the gang and found a picture of May. When he confronted Boss Kata, he stated that the young woman in the photo was named May, but that she had been brought there 30 years ago and that she was already dead. Then, Curdy understood the truth. The May he had been with all this time was her spirit, seeking help to free the other girls from exploitation. Her wish had finally been fulfilled. After paying Curdy, Boss Kata allowed him and Jimmy to take all the girls with them. In the final scene, May's spirit appears once more, smiling as she watches Curdy successfully save them.
Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe for more movie breakdowns and recaps.